You are listening to Visionaries Wrestling Network, providing your perfect podcast experience.
What's up, everybody? This is Impact Wrestling superstar, All Ego Ethan Page, and you are listening to my favorite father-son trio, the MGB Wrestling Podcast.
M is for Mason.
G is for Graham.
B for Batcha.
This is the MGB Wrestling Podcast, the podcast with PG-rated material accessible to wrestling fans of all ages. Hi, my name is Mason, and here's proof that wrestling fans still live with their parents, my co-host, my dad, Graham.
Alright, this is the MGB review of Next Evolution Wrestling, N.E.W, from Saturday, June 21st, 2019, in Elizabeth City, North Carolina. This is day 2 of our mini road trip, and day 1 of our mini road trip you can find on the Visionaries Wrestling Network. It was our review of UCW from the Orange County Fair. Okay, so we travelled overnight from the previous event, so right now we're in Newport News. We're still in Virginia right now, so what happened from there then, Jay?
I don't know.
Where were we supposed to go?
I don't know.
What were we supposed to go see?
The wrestling.
We were, but what else before that? What places were we supposed to go visit?
The White House that is in
Not the White
Cape
House.
Hatteras?
Not the White. We were supposed to go see the Wright Brothers Memorial in Kitty Hawk, and yes, if we had time, we said we would go to Cape Hatteras, but that was going to be a lot of driving, and Anyway, we didn't do that. We did stop at the North Carolina border, though, because that was a new state for you, JJ, and I hadn't been back there for 6 years because I used to live in North Carolina. So what did we do on the North Carolina border? Can you remember?
Took lots of pictures.
We did. Of what?
Some North Carolina things.
Like what?
And the big chair.
There was a big chair, yeah.
ticket, And some stores.
Some stores, and also any signs that said welcome to, like, North Carolina and the name of the town. And Mason, what do you remember about the big chair?
I remember it was half blue and half red, and it was like right on the borderline, so I think half of it was North Carolina, and then half of it was the red was Virginia.
And I didn't realise that at the time, it was only afterwards, but yeah, technically Jackson was sat in Virginia, and I think you were sat in North Carolina, and I'd not even figured out that was what was going to happen. And then from there, we were supposed to be going to the Wright Brothers Memorial, and we stopped off. What did we see on the side of the road, Jay? I didn't even know about this place.
I don't know.
We didn't do anything before we went to the Wright Brothers Memorial? Obviously, it wasn't very exciting then.
It was.
So what was it?
I don't know. And monster trucks.
Okay, there was a monster truck. Okay, which monster truck did we see?
Gravedigger, and we ride on some monster trucks who I didn't even know the name of.
We did. We had no idea about this. Do you want to talk about this, Mason?
Yeah, we rode on Riptide.
Mm-hmm.
And what was the other monster truck?
Kraken? Or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then we went to, it was $10, and we got to ride all over the woods, and then we got to do the jumps and all that stuff.
No, I didn't.
Yes, we did. Were you not with us? Well, it wasn't a jump like you see on the stadium. We weren't leaving the air and getting 10 foot in the air, because that'd be a little dangerous for a ride.
It would be happy.
We probably would be. Where did you get to sit?
In the, passenger seat.
You did? What was that like?
It was like driving it.
Uh-huh. Was it fun?
Yeah.
Was it scary?
I was about to say passenger train.
It was a passenger seat, yeah. You were very lucky. They were so busy that they decided to use the passenger seat, so you got to sit up front on that. And, yeah, you could do a simple ride around for $5, just over the track, over a few bumps, but for $10 you could go into the woods, which was definitely worth doing. And, yeah, then we got to see the garage. You could see the son of a digger, grave digger. You could see the original grave digger, which was really old.
And we got to climb on the wheel.
You got to climb on a wheel, which we got a cool picture. We'll make sure we post that as part of the podcast as well.
Yep.
And inside the store, you got to look at the championship trophies, and you got to sit on one of them as well. It was like a throne. So,
There's
yeah.
a chair with a trophy on the back.
Mm-hmm.
And we got to try all the tractors.
Oh, yeah, they had all the old John Deere tractors at the front as well. I'd forgotten about those from like the 50s, 60s, 40s. So that was pretty cool
and
as well.
And the 90s?
I don't know if it was as recent as
No.
90s. They were pretty old ones, Jay. And then we did go down to the Wright Brothers Memorial because that was something you've been reading about. So who are the Wright Brothers then, GJ?
They were brothers,
Mhm.
but first they made safety bikes, and then they made an airplane.
They did. They made bicycles, and then they made airplanes. What was special about their airplane, though?
It had 2 propellers on the back.
Okay.
And they had to lie down and hold something.
They did have to lie down, yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's kind of
And
like
there's an engine just this side.
an engine just to the right-hand side. All right, what do you know then, Mason, that he hasn't said?
It was the first ever flight.
Well, a bit more special than that. It was the first powered flight, but it was certainly powered flight by an airplane as well. Can you remember the year?
Oh, I remember. December 3rd, 1903.
I can't remember if it's the 3rd, but yes, 1903.
It is the 3rd.
I'm gonna go with you because I honestly don't remember that part. I know it was December because it was like winter time. So yeah. And what did we see there at the memorial? Can you remember anything specific? What did we do there?
Number 4 was along with them 3.
Mm-hmm. And what do those numbers tell you?
How far they flew.
It tells you how far they flew on the first attempt, the second attempt, the third attempt, and the fourth attempt. First attempt, I think, was only about 100 feet, and then the fourth attempt was 900 feet, so they got pretty good pretty quick. And what else did we do besides walking on where they actually flew, Mason?
We went up to the monument,
Mm-hmm.
and we got to go in one of their old tents.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it was a reproduction.
They had, it was more like a shack. It was all wooden, and you could see what it actually looked like. And after the memorial, they actually had a recreation of what the actual Wright brothers plane looked like, so you could actually climb on it and sit on it and get pictures with it. And that was to commemorate the 100th anniversary in 2003. And that was
I didn't know what the wheels were, but it was the train wheels.
They have they have like a train rail behind to get them started in the same direction. And then from there, we didn't have time to go and see Cape Hatteras, which was fine, and we went to Elizabeth City. We got there about 90 minutes before the doors opened. We had a little walk around the waterfront, and luckily we checked our Twitter feed at lunchtime because they actually changed the venue. And I don't know Elizabeth City at all, but it was in the National Armory building, and we got there, I think, pretty much as soon as the doors opened. It might have been 5 minutes after, perhaps, and we got straight to the front seats.
And it was quiet.
It was pretty quiet, yeah. Yeah, there wasn't many people there when we got there. Is there anything else you can remember when we walked in?
No.
No? Alright. Is that your part done then, JJ?
Yeah.
Now, when we sat down on the front row. I knew that they had a special deal because I'd seen it on Twitter. They had autographed shirts, one signed by Franco, one signed by Ethan for $20. Unfortunately, smallest size was adult medium, so that was no good for you. We had Ethan's autograph before because we saw him at AIW, and I actually saw him at WrestleMania as well, WrestleMania weekend. And I knew we were going to get Franco's autograph today, so I knew that wasn't going to be a problem anyway, so we didn't do that. We went and sat down, and we noticed somebody else was at their merch table.
Ethan Page.
Ethan Page was out there. So I actually wanted to get a different autograph. So we went over there, and actually he recognized you straight away. Because I'd actually posted before, you actually had your new Ethan Page t-shirt, which I'd given to you, which says, it looks like Lego, right?
Yeah.
Looks like Al Lego, except it's all ego, because it's got how it's set up like that. So yeah, he recognized you, because you actually have your indie jersey on, right?
Yeah.
So he recognized you straight away. Okay.
And then I got to go on his vlog unbuttoning my indie shirt and then showing the all ego.
Mm-hmm.
And then we turned around and then showed him the other one, like the back.
Mm-hmm. Because that's why we covered the shirt up, because I was wearing my indie shirt, you were wearing your shirt that says wrestling, and he thought that was pretty cool as well, so we got to do that. And we got his autograph, and he didn't have any change. I didn't have any change, so we actually got some pins as well. He gave us a good deal, actually. He gave us some more stuff than we had for $20, but I always keep forgetting to take change. I always get $20 bills, and everything's like $5, $10, and then if you're the first person there, and as he said as well, he's from Canada, so he's got Canadian dollars as well. He probably has an even bigger problem. He's got to keep switching money around as well. And we got talking. I mentioned that you had a podcast. And he was like, "You have a podcast?"
And then he said, do I want to interview him? And then, I was a little nervous because I didn't, have a questioner that's ready. And he said, "Do you want me to interview you?" And then we just went outside and then did an interview.
Well, he asked, "Do you have your podcast equipment with you?" And I was like, "Yeah, I got my phone here." I said, "That's all we use." And he said he actually does the same thing, basically. Because we tried using microphone. It's just too complicated. And the phone works just fine. And yeah, he was good enough. He went outside. Because I said, "Are you okay leaving the merch table?" He's like, "Yeah, I got such a long line right now." It was still early. There was nobody there. But that was cool that he did that. And, he recorded the intro for our interview with him, and he's wanted your first question you were going to ask him as well. So I think that's about 2 minutes. So if all that goes on, you're going to be on Ethan Page's vlog for about 2 minutes.
Yeah, and I didn't know about what his vlog was about. And then I asked the first question. It was perfect for the vlog.
And, well, obviously, we're not going to talk about that because we're going to play that later, so you'll be able to hear that. And we're actually going to play that interview at the end of the podcast. And if you look in the episode notes, you can find out for the time when it is, if you just want to skip straight to the interview with Ethan Page. I think it's about 13 and a half minutes. So he talked with you for a long time. That was really cool of him to actually do that. Now, actually, something I didn't realise ahead of time was Ethan Page had actually been there for a long time on this day. Well, I know he'd flown in because I'd actually seen him. He had some problems with his flight. He said that the engine wasn't working or something, and then they switched the engine off and they switched it back on again, and it started up. And he's like, is this like Windows or something? Basically, the plane was like a computer. But anyway, he got that fixed. He was there for a seminar. And he did talk about that with us. And he said on Twitter, amazing group today in North Carolina for my seminar. 80% of these wrestlers have 6 to 12 months of training and they all killed it. I sucked 1 year in. They can't say the same about at New Evo Wrestling. It's in good hands with this batch of trainees. Love this Dawn job, all ego. Except he doesn't say Dawn, because that's one of... Actually, why am I even paraphrasing? We should mention right now, we normally say we're super PG. We normally don't say
He
damn.
does a Rob Simmons.
We don't
Ron
normally say
Simmons.
damn. We normally just say Dawn. I'm not editing out all the times he said it, so we'll just say damn for today. So if you don't like that word, then I guess this is the end of the episode for you guys. Anyone else who can cope with that? They say that on Raw anyway and SmackDown, so we always try and make the effort to not say it if we can avoid it. And yeah, we went and sat down, and no pre-show, I don't think.
No.
I know sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't. This one didn't have a pre-show. So shall we get straight to match one then?
Yeah.
Match 1, Dwan O'Neill versus Jake Hollister.
Now, this was a non-title match, but we were confused because Jake actually came out with a belt. Now, we actually I talked to Dwan, and he actually explained it. Dwan and Dustin Tarr were tag team partners, and Jake and Beau stole their tag team belts from them. So they weren't singles champions, they were actually a tag team champion, but that's why Jake had the belt. So this wasn't a title match at all, it was just basically a feud match for him stealing the belts from him. Now, when we get into our basic stuff then, we did notice, or I noticed as I was looking this up on Jake Hollister, it's his birthday today, Mason. Mm-hmm. We're recording this on June 24th. This episode comes out on July 1st, and Jake's going to be 21. So, boys, do you want to take it away?
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jake Hollister. Happy birthday to Jake Hollister.
21 today. Alright, so once again, happy birthday, Jake. Dwan on Twitter. I can't wait to see at It's Beau Time shut up by my boy at Tar Tweets tonight. Hashtag Next Evolution, hashtag Indie Wrestling, hashtag Pro Wrestling. So they started to talk about the feud that we didn't know about going in. Alright, Mason, talk about this match for us then.
So, Dwan, he pushes Jake in the corner and then he ruffles his hair. And then Jake is all, particular how it goes back.
Pretty boy Jake Hollister, yep.
And then Jake runs into Dwan, and then, but Dwan's standing still, but then Jake still falls over.
Mm-hmm. Dwan's strong.
Mm-hmm. And Jake took out Dwan's knee, and then he keeps switching knees. He keeps kicking the right one, and then he starts attacking the left one, and then he starts attacking the right one.
And I think I told you, if he can't stand, he can't fight. It's like a little bit Karate Kids kind of thing, but it's, if you can't stand, then you can't fight. Yeah. And then it seems a good way of slowing Dwan down. If you take his knees out, he's not going to be running into you, and he's not going to be chasing after you.
So then, Jake gets dropped on his neck by Dwan. Mm-hmm. And then Dustin Tarr, he helps out Dwan with Beau, and Dwan wins with a huge kick.
Yeah, now I'm surprised you didn't mention at all. Definitely Erica was interfering. Beau was interfering as well. It was effectively a 3-on-1 handicap match for most of it. So it was kind of good that Dustin Tarr did come out and actually help him. And, Now, I forgot to mention on the last podcast, I realized after we'd recorded, I like how Dwan gets the crowd going. Normally we talk about how we get the claps, and sometimes it needs somebody in the audience, or sometimes the wrestlers will clap to get it going. Do you notice what Dwan did to get the crowd going?
He starts chanting fight.
He does. He starts chanting fight. So every time that Jake rolled out the ring, it'll be like fight, fight. And crowds love that, because that's what they're there for. They want to see you fighting. They want to see you wrestling. I thought that was a really clever way of getting the action actually going, so I really liked that one as well.
Match 2. Trey Havoc versus ZackHarley.
Now, some of these names we couldn't actually find. I should actually mention as he was in the first match. Dewan O'Neill was really helpful. I put a message out on Facebook saying, hey, we're new to this organisation. There was a few names we don't know. Can anybody help? Somebody tagged us and said, hey, can you help with somebody else? And Dewan actually sent me a message saying, hey, look, tell me which ones you need, send me pictures, whatever. And he gave us the names. So we actually managed to find out a lot more things about this. Now, Trey doesn't have much up on Twitter at all, so I don't have anything for him. ZackHarley, I couldn't find. There's about 20 ZackHarleys on Twitter. Even if I put like ZackHarley wrestler, I couldn't find him. As Ethan said earlier, a lot of these people have only been wrestling 6 to 12 months, or been training for 6 to 12 months. We talked about somebody on Crab Wrestling who'd been training for like 3 years before they even had their first match. So some of these people are not that prominent on social media at this point. So go ahead, talk about this match then.
So ZackHarley, so Trey, he overpowers Zack like a lot because he's like a whole bunch bigger and stronger than him. And the ref, she sets a timer on her watch, like as the timer. I thought that was somebody else's job.
We talked about that, yeah. I thought that was the timer, the person who rings the bell. I thought that was their job as well, but I don't actually remember seeing a ring bell anywhere. It must have been somewhere.
I remember.
Perhaps it was to the right of us when we sat on the front row.
It was.
But yeah, I thought that was somebody else's job as well. The referee, of course, in soccer or football, if you're in England, they would actually do it that way, though. They would start it as well. So I thought that was a nice touch, actually. Yeah. There was a time limit, but I don't think any of these matches actually reached that time limit. There was none that ended in like a draw because time had expired.
And then with Jackson, he got scared a bit, and then we had to go to, like, the back row.
Oh, that was way later than that. That was much later than that. But yeah, he wanted to sit front row to begin with, and then he just said, I'm scared. And I looked at him, and he was scared. So we had to give up our front row seats and move to the back. I'm not sure which match that was. That might have been... Actually, I think it was actually after the intermission. It was kind of late.
That was like right before.
So anyway, so we had to move at some point, but I don't think that was particularly this match. But all right, what else for this match?
And then Trey wins with a power bomb.
Trey did win with a power bomb. He looked very impressive. And one thing I did find from him on Twitter, he did say, so I did a thing. Hashtag and new FCCW champion. Hashtag Mr. 24 Carat. Hashtag support indie wrestling. So, not quite sure what FCCW wrestling is. I tried to Google that. There's only so many letters you can have. There was a group that was in Canada from 6 years ago. There was another group somewhere else. But yeah, he showed him with his championship belt, and he looked pretty good in it. He certainly fitted that character. But yeah, he was very impressive, that's for sure.
Match 3. Jared Evans versus Leo Kirby.
I saw Leo at Classic Pro Wrestling in the main event earlier this month. And I said at the time, I was like, I know him. And you actually said as well, you're like, I know him. Do you know why you know him? I said I thought it was VCW, but...
We saw him at Nova Pro with he was the guy with the mirror. And then, like, he was the one that kicked his shoes off into the back.
Oh, that was him?
Yes.
Oh, you mentioned that. And I thought you were mixing it up with the guy at Primetime Pro who had the mirror. Because I was like, it definitely wasn't him.
No, that was a different guy.
I know what you're talking about now. Well, that adds even more reasons why we recognised him then. We've seen him before. I said I thought I saw him at VCW. While I was searching another match, actually I was looking at Timmy Danger. This is where I found this. VC Wrestling on Twitter. In true propagandist fashion, the Sanctuary recorded a special message preaching the impending victory of Timmy Danger at this year's Liberty Lottery. He's a member of the Sanctuary. It showed you a picture. And when I saw it, I was like, oh, there he is. That's how we saw him. So we saw him face Benjamin Banks and Diamond Victor Griff. So yeah, we've seen him at the Sanctuary. I saw him at Classic Pro. I also saw him at Nova Pro. That's no wonder he looked so familiar. I just couldn't remember who he was, though.
I get Leo Kirby mixed up with the guy who had I can't remember what it was called, the avocado flag, I'd call it, but I don't even remember.
The guy from Ecuador?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Chikara wrestler. Something. I can't remember what his name was.
I thought it was avocado, but then it was Ecuador.
Good job I can remember your code.
Avocado was a food.
Now, Jared was supposed to face Eddie Cannon, and Jared said on Twitter, not surprised that at DocShady87 decided to no-show at New Evo Wrestling. Just another wrestler afraid of hashtag the bad guy. Hashtag duh. Alright, Mason, so this wasn't an expected match, but tell us what did happen now.
So he's without his mirror. Leo Kirby, he doesn't have his mirror, and...
I think that was only when he was at Nova Pro. That's the only time I've seen him with a mirror, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah. So he kicked out of the double knees and Leo, and then it's out. It's getting hot in here now.
In here?
No, in like the wrestling.
It was pretty warm. They
It's
had the
getting
gate. They had the doors open at the back a little bit, but yeah,
a bit like prime time.
It was really starting to warm up a little bit. Yeah.
And it was starting to starting to feel like prime time. And Leo, he misses the dive off the top rope, then loses.
Now, the thing you didn't mention in this one was, I was really impressed with the acrobatic skill of these guys. There was a lot of, I like the middleweight type wrestlers, where there's a lot more emphasis on skill. And they do lots of flips, and they do lots of rollovers and twists and things like that. And they do move and counter move, and there was a lot of that going on in this. And no, I thought this was a thoroughly enjoyable match. Okay, shall we move on to match 4 then?
Match 4. The Sanctuary versus Sterling Williams and Kainoa.
Was the activist who we found out from Dewan is Obadiah Batten, I believe, versus Sterling Williams and Kainoa. Now, we only know the first name, so I couldn't actually find much on any of these people at all. Sterling doesn't have anything on social media. The only person I could find was Timmy Danger, and we already mentioned him because we saw him in the Sanctuary before. I've seen him on other wrestling. He appears on Capital Wrestling as well, which I tend to try and watch on YouTube whenever I can as well. All right, what do we got for this match then, Mason?
So they started off with corners without the tag ropes. And they had the tag ropes out, like, ready for them. And then when you pointed to it, I thought you were talking about the chains hanging down from the thing.
Oh, no. And I didn't point it out. It was actually the guy next to me in the cowboy hat. He was the guy who pointed it out. He's like, you're in the wrong corners. But yeah, they were. They were stood at the ones that didn't have the tag ropes. So finally they got them to move to the proper sides, and then they actually started the match. But yeah, I thought that was funny that they'd missed that to begin with.
And then Kainoa is getting beat up a lot by the Sanctuary. And then he finally makes the tag. And then, like, Sterling Williams, and then he starts beating them down. And then the Sanctuary won. But
Whoa.
I couldn't, like...
That was quick.
Like, we had to move at that point. I have it on my notes.
Oh, that was when we moved.
Because Timmy Danger, he just pushed Sterling off the rope, and then he was like 2 feet away from Jackson.
It was a long way from him.
It was still 2 feet. But
we found out afterwards that he's not afraid of being on the front row. But he's afraid of being on the front row if there's no guardrail there. That's the difference.
Because he was fine with orange.
Correct. There was a few where he was perfectly okay, and we found out why. Because he couldn't tell us to begin with, but then when we asked him, we found a few more details out. So we had to make that trade-off because we're like, hey, you don't get any high fives anymore. He's like, okay. And he was scared. So we moved to the back. We actually stole somebody else's seat, so we went to get food, but we didn't realise that. And anyway, I was like, well, that's fine. I said, look, he was scared. And they were like, oh, did you have seats? And we were like, yeah, front row. And they were like, they loved that. They managed to get front row seats. And then he kind of wanted to move back. We're like, hey, look, it's too late. I didn't care. Because I was like, he might learn that if he moves away from the front row and it's not as good, he'll always want to go to front row. But in the end, it kind of worked okay, so...
Intermission.
And I'd forgotten. I hadn't even thought about this. I'd sent a message to Simply Safeish 7 weeks ago. I saw they had a new t-shirt out. It's got Livid on it. It's got Wes Danger Rogers on it. It's really colourful. I was like, can you get this in a kid small? I'd like it for Jackson for his daycare graduation present, or one of his great daycare. And they were like, fine, no problems. We'll let you know when we've got it. And then I didn't hear anything from it. And I'd forgotten. So I went over, and I think they'd forgotten as well. I think they both run the account, so sometimes they forget things like that. So that's fine. We've got an order in for him now. He actually picked the one he wanted now, so it'll probably work even better, actually. And we also got an 8x10 from them, because we didn't see that one before. It's got both of them on there. And actually some colouring pictures, which you guys are pretty much coloured in right now, and we're going to send them into Facebook. And Franco was really the reason why we probably went to this event. He was the one who let us know about this months ago. So we'll talk more about how we know Franco later. But do you want to tell us about what we got from Franco?
So he gave us the 8x10, and then we got I got a band, and I have it. It says Franco Varga, the biggest wrestler ever.
Yeah, so we bought an 8x10, we bought a t-shirt, and he actually told us he's actually travelling to Australia next week for 2 weeks. So we talked about that. We also talked about the UK, because I knew he'd been wrestling in the UK, in Blackpool, which is very close to where I went to college for 3 years. So we talked about that as well. And he made a dig about us forgetting his name. So
I never forgot it.
You never forgot it.
I never knew it.
You never knew it until later on. So, but anyway, that was from us reviewing Infinite Pro Wrestling.
And you got a t-shirt.
I said a t-shirt. I said that. I said an 8x10 and a t-shirt. Yep. And I think that was pretty much all we did. I think actually we got that stuff. I think we took it out to the car.
So I went over, and then I got Ethan Page to autograph my jersey.
You did, and I said that at the time. I was going to ask him earlier, and then with doing the interview, we just got so sidetracked. And you'll have also heard at the start of this podcast as well, we asked him. I finally remembered, Mason, would you do the bump for us? And he was like, absolutely, I'll do a bump for you. Because I never remember to ask the wrestlers that. And even if I do, I then often forget to put it in the episode as well. So we've had the Ugly Ducklings one. I think we've used it once. We have one from Warhorse that we still haven't used yet. So I tend to forget about them. I know we have one from Benjamin Banks. We have one from Josh Fuller. We have one from Mikey Banker, I believe, as well. I just never remember. So I was really proud of myself actually remembering to ask, hey, would you do a bump for us? And but yeah, no, I was say you got a space on your jersey. Why would you not want Ethan Page's on there? We should get Franco Varga as well. That was the one I thought about after. I was like, oh, why didn't we ask Franco?
Oh, I know why. It's because we had to put, after you got, like, your stuff, and then, because you were talking with the Simply Safeish, too, while he was getting the change, and then we moved straight to them. And then once we got their autograph, we went to the car, and then we took our jerseys off because it was getting hot, and you put your Franco one ready for the main event.
That's right. It was getting very hot. And actually, by the time we'd come in, they'd already introduced in the next match. So
they were doing the 50-50.
Oh, that was it. We heard them and we were like, oh, we better get move on them because we thought they were going to start already. So, yeah.
Match 5. Beau Crockett versus Dustin Tarr.
All right, so after the intermission, it was Beau Crockett and Dustin Tarr. Now, I'm going to talk more about Beau in match 6, and Dustin, couldn't find much about him. We know he's DeJuan's partner in the wrestling ring, but besides that, I couldn't get much. So go ahead, talk us through this match. Now, this one was actually for the title, so whoever won got the tag team titles, even though it was a singles match, which we did not know at the time, and we were very confused by this.
So, Jason, I called him I thought he was Jason Tarr, because that's what I heard on the mic, because it was like Nova Pro. I couldn't hear very well.
Luckily, DeJuan helped us, and with it being his tag team partner, he obviously knew who it was straight away, so that was really helpful.
Dustin, so Dustin gave Beau 2 chops, and they were really loud, and then his chest was really red, and then he threw a cake at him from like the concessions. Oh yeah, I forgot. You guys in the middle, you guys got like pizza, and it was $1 for a whole slice of pizza.
That was right at the end. That was after this. This is as they're closing because they've already done it. They've done the intermission at this point. There's like 10 minutes left in the show, so they were trying to get rid of everything, so they made it cheaper. The person that did the cakes, I actually saw this because we knew about this a long time ago, almost a month and a half ago. I saw this on Facebook. Get your orders in for this person's cakes, whatever, blah blah blah. They're really good. I heard a lot of people say how good they were. We were traveling all the way. I didn't want to put it in a hot car and then bring it back, but it sounds like that was the thing to do. What I didn't see at the time was I guess you could get like individual cakes as well. So that's the way we should have done it next time. We'd already bought cookies from McDonald's to eat in the car on the ride home.
Yeah, it was 40 cents a cookie.
Huh?
And then, but I thought I worked it out in my head, and it would be about like a little over $2.50, including tax. And then I see the receipt, and it's like $2.
I think it's 3 for $1. I think that was, if you buy one, it's 40 cents. So if we hadn't done that, we could have bought those cakes. So if we go back there, and it's a long way, because it's like nearly 4 hours, we know that's something we want to check out for the future. Actually, the lady came around and swept it up pretty quickly as well.
Yeah.
Because all the cake was on the floor, which probably wasn't safe, and she came around and swept it all up.
I think it was like the rice cakes. I think that's the one he threw at her, because
it looked like it was smushier than that.
It was different colors. Because I see the person in front of me has a rice cake too, and it was like the same colors. It was like different colors.
Okay.
And a superplex to Beau, and then Beau wins with a twisting pedigree, which is really cool. He like twisted him in the air.
Yeah.
And then Tarr, he does a Death Valley driver to Beau after the match, and DeJuan and Dustin hold up the belts.
They do, because you asked me, like, what was that move? And I was like, well, it looked like it was going to be a bulldog, but then, yeah, he twisted him over so he landed on his back.
I think a bulldog is when you run and then do it.
Probably, but it was like the face slam onto the ground.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they got their belts back anyway. So yeah, I guess it all worked out in the end.
Match 6. The Marauders versus Simply Safeish.
Who's in Simply Safeish?
Living in West Danger Roberts.
That's it. We did this slightly out of order, Mason, because they actually did the promo between match 1 and match 2. When the Marauders came out, they were a new team that was put together, and I think they did pretty much an open challenge, and Simply Safeish came out and accepted the challenge, so we got into this one. Now, before we get to this, we're going to talk about, this is by at Horatio Radio on May 26th. You know what I hate? Hashtag number 12. Oh, sorry, just number 12. The Caucasity, I think that's Caucasianness, basically, the whiteness, in my neighborhood. This video has 1.16 million views, and it got retweeted 15,000 times. And I'm going to show you boys the video, and you can comment on it. Alright guys, so you got a bonus match to record. I haven't shown you this before or told you about it, so I'm going to play it to you. There's no sound, because there's some naughty words, okay? See if you can tell me who's wrestling in this match.
Simply Safeish.
Yeah.
And Livid.
Mm-hmm.
I see them.
Beau
Beau Crockett and Jake Hollister.
Very good. So what video were you watching? Can you describe it?
Livid and Jake Hollister and Wes Danger Rogers and Beau Crockett.
And it's by somebody's garage.
Uh-huh.
And then there's like
And
4 fans.
And it's between the houses.
So you didn't know about that video. I don't think you've seen that video before, have you? That was all over Twitter. It appeared on local news. In fact, who did I see? Sean Neutron. Sean from Squared Circle. He actually said on Twitter, May 30th, at It's Bow Time, at Jake Hollister 7, at Clown Livid, and Wes Rogers, getting some shine from at Bomani Jones and at Pablo Torre at high noon on ESPN. So it appeared on one of their main shows they were showing that. People didn't know what was going on. What was actually going on was explained by New Evolution Revolution on Twitter on May 26th. That would be us having a special birthday party event. A little boy, I don't know how old he is, he's probably Jackson's age, he might be 4 or 5, loves Jake Hollister. It showed you a video, I saw it on Facebook. Jake Hollister comes in with a present for the boy and his eyes are all light up. And then they did a wrestling match for him.
Oh.
So that explained what it was. It was really cool. 1.16 million views. That thing exploded. That is the definition of viral right there. New Evolution Wrestling did a good job every time. It's like, hey, you like it? Come and watch us. We're in North Carolina. Somebody else was like, hey, I'm in North Carolina, don't tempt me. And they're like, all right, we expect to see you at this event. But yeah, they promoted it as much as they could, and I thought that was really cool that they actually did that.
That's cool that they gave a birthday party. That's why I only saw like 5 or 6 people on there.
There wasn't. Now, there was a bit where they showed you inside on the back, because on the back garden they had like a separate thing where they had like a bouncy castle, I think, and all the kids were there as well. But that part was just, like the end part for them, I guess. That was the main event, because it was just that one match. But I thought that was pretty cool that they did that. All right. We saw Mr. Salazar as well. He was at UCW. We remembered him from that. And one of the Marauders, although I don't know what their names are, I actually saw at Classic Pro Wrestling as well, because I recognized the rope with the cowbell that was attached to it. So I know I've seen one of those guys before as well. And we've certainly seen Simply Safeish multiple times at VCW. We've seen them at Nova Pro. I've seen them at, I saw them at WrestleMania weekend as well. So we're familiar with those guys, which is why I don't have much. So it's all you, all you, Mason. Tell us about match 6.
So the Marauders keep accidentally hurting their own teammate. So like Wes Danger Rogers in there, he thought one of them throws the punch and then it hits the other one.
Uh-huh.
And then Wes is on the ropes, and then Livid, he does like a suicide dive through his legs.
Mm-hmm.
And then Mr. Salazar, he chokes Wes with his cane.
Mm-hmm.
Wes gets hit with a bell on the outside, and then inside the ring, Livid gets clotheslined. And the Marauders win.
It was pretty much a 3-on-2 handicap match. There was always something going on. We knew that was going to happen, because you could see, you actually called it, you were like, somebody's going to step, or you said at one point, like, Livid will step in the ring, the ref will go over and go, hey, what are you doing in here? And then it'll be 3-on-1. And that's pretty much what happened for this one. But yeah, you got the main thing I saw as well. Wes stands on the middle rope, so his feet push it down, and then that allows Livid to jump through his legs and through the rope as well, which I thought was really cool as well.
Match 7, the main event. Our ego Ethan Page versus Big Pappy Franco Varga.
So, our history with Franco. You had a baseball practice. This is pre-season, so this must have been March, end of March. You couldn't go. I saw literally 3.5 hours before the event, Benjamin Banks is going to be in Delaware. And it was a 2-hour drive. So I was like, Jackson, you want to go? Mason, you couldn't go because you had that practice. And we went there. We just went to watch, and we enjoyed it so much, we were like, shall we review it? I was like, I'll just talk to him. This was on our regular MGB episode. I think we put it as a segment after we'd reviewed Raw and SmackDown, and Jackson talked for about 9 minutes. We had a good little thing. We couldn't remember the main event, though. All we remembered was it was Chris Masters. And we said, we can't remember who the person is. And Franco sent us a message, and he gave us grief about not remembering his name. He was joking, of course. And yeah, we tried to see him again in April, but we actually had UCW right in town. It was in Annandale, so we went to see that because Jackson go see Benjamin Banks. And then he said, hey, I'm going to be in North Carolina on June. I was like, I think we can do that because we're on holiday right now. We can travel down. I knew we could go and see the Wright Brothers Memorial, see the Outer Banks, and see all the other stuff. And Ethan Page. Who doesn't want to go see Ethan Page as well? So that was the reason why we actually turned up for this one. I think I already mentioned it. On July 16th, Franco makes his debut in Australia, and he's going to be out there for 2 weeks. And for anybody who doesn't know Ethan Page, I'm not sure what you've been doing for the last few weeks, years, months. Ethan is the owner of Alpha One in Hamilton, Ontario. Mason, we stayed there 6 years ago. Mommy actually reminded me of this. I'd forgotten.
I didn't know about wrestling at that point.
We didn't, and I didn't know about Alpha One Wrestling because I don't think it's been going that long. But we stayed in Hamilton before. I didn't remember that part. We went to a wedding from Miss Cat. It was one of the elementary school teachers who Mommy works with, which was in, I think, Syracuse. And then we went to Buffalo, and we went to Niagara Falls. And we actually went into Canada because we went to Toronto. We went to watch a Red Sox game, and we actually stayed in Hamilton. So we have actually been to Hamilton before.
Because I got to see the dome on the Blue Jay Stadium close.
Yes, you did.
That was so fun.
Yeah, that was really cool.
And we were like a back row about.
We were far back, but it was cheap tickets. I got cheap tickets.
And it was like a good view for the dome because we were right there.
Oh, it was brilliant. I had a great time there.
And it closed towards us, not away from us.
Mm-hmm. We want to go back to Toronto. Jay's a big hockey fan. They have the Hockey Hall of Fame there as well. We literally stayed for a few hours. We had a quick look around, saw the Red Sox game, and then we left after that. But it was fun to do. Now, I've seen a few of the events on Independent Wrestling TV. I don't watch all the matches. I have to say that. I don't have time to watch everything on Independent Wrestling TV because there's thousands of hours. So I cherry pick. I pick the matches I really want to see. Basically, the ones that have Ethan Page in are guaranteed ones for me. He fought MJF in a dog collar match recently, where they had chains around their neck and they were connected. That was really good as well. That was a very violent match. Ethan Page versus David Arquette. Not David Starr. Could not remember his name. And funnily enough, Ethan said, I did the same thing. I said just really weird how that happened. And I also remember seeing Hacksaw Jim Duggan there as well, on an event as well. So he has some really cool people who come in there, and they've been doing really well. Now, here's the interesting part. Ethan set you a challenge. He said he asked us, do we have IWTV? And we're like, yep. And he wants us to review some of his events. I looked. This Sunday, a day after this podcast comes out, Mason, they have an event in Hamilton. It's 4.5 hours away from where we're going to be. All right, so I don't think I need to ask you the last question then. Should we take the passports?
Yeah.
All right, we'll talk to Mommy when she comes back. We are going to try and actually get into that event there. Shall I tell you some of the people who are on the card to see if it sounds like something you'd like to see? I'm not sure if you know the first one. Jeff Cobb?
No.
I think he's on Ring of Honor. I've heard his name a lot recently. He's very popular. Hornswoggle?
Yeah.
Space Monkey?
Yeah.
Colt Cabana?
Yeah.
TJP?
Yeah.
That's some pretty big names, right? That would be pretty awesome. That's probably sold out.
Oh.
If I can get it, I will get it. I'm going to guess that's probably sold out by now because these tickets have been on sale for a long time. You got to remember, it's only now. What are we? We're recording on the Monday. This event is in 6 days' time, so it's probably going to be already sold out, I'm guessing. But anyway, so we're going to try. We'll see what happens. I guess if it doesn't happen, but we'll see. We'll see if we can. I'm not quite sure the rules on immigration, all that stuff. Like, if we're going as a family, it's fine. If I just take you, there's certain rules. So I got to figure out how to do that. But if we can figure out how to do it, I have no problems driving 4.5 hours to go and see Ethan Page. It starts at 4 o'clock. So I'm going to guess 3 hours, 7 o'clock. We'd be home before midnight. That would be awesome. If we left early enough, I'm not sure how far Toronto is. We might be able to have a walk around Toronto as well, possibly ahead of time. Well, we can certainly have a walk around Canada anyway, so that might be pretty cool to do. So anyway, all right, now you're super excited. I got you hyped up. We got it all built up. Tell us about this main event, which was for the N.E.W. Championship.
Okay, so it starts like he's a heel, which we weren't expecting because we usually know Franco is a heel.
Now, that was the thing that totally confused me. And I wasn't even thinking about that. Now, I watch freelance wrestling as well, and Ethan's the champion there, and he's a heel there. Black Label Pro, he's normally a heel there. In fact, when I saw him at WrestleMania, he was a big heel. And I just assumed for some reason he was going to be a face. I mean, mostly on Impact Wrestling, he's a heel as well. I was so used to Franco Varga being a heel from Infinite Pro, I just assumed he was going to be a heel. And when Franco walked out, it was like, hey! It was big claps, it was cheers. Like, I guess he's a face then. And we knew he had to be because Ethan was playing a heel. Although it could have been heel on heel, I guess. But it was nice to see Franco. It was nice to actually cheer for him as a face.
I didn't.
Although we were cheering for both guys. We wanted both. We didn't
I
care.
cheer for the match.
Absolutely. We just wanted to see a good match, and it was two people that we really like as well.
So, like, Ethan Page starts attacking this one person, and then, like, he takes off his shirt, and then, like, he, like, yells at him that he needs some sunblock because he has some bad, like,
it's like, your parents are really bad for not... That kid had to be restrained a little bit, because it was, I don't think he was... I don't know why Ethan kept going at him, but yeah, he didn't let up on him, and he got a little bit upset by it, but he was playing a great heel. He picked on the guy with the cowboy hat as well.
Yeah, he called him a toothless hillbilly.
You asked me, like, what is that? But you knew Hillbilly Jim, and I kind of explained the stereotype. It's like a redneck. You've heard the phrase redneck, right? It's kind of that uneducated thing. So he was picking apart, pretty much like Max Morrison did at UCW, where he was talking about Orange County, like the people there from stink, they're inbred, they're trash. It was basically that same thing. You just pick on an area. He's great at doing it, though. He picked out individual people who he knew and got reactions, and the whole crowd as well. But he's really good at doing it. It was great to see a top heel in action.
And then the ref, she counts on her fingers. She goes like, and then she puts the one
So Mason's
up.
putting one finger out. It sounded like that. Yeah, we couldn't hear, because at one point it was like, oh, they're at 6 already, and we didn't even hear anything. Later on when we checked, she was counting. I think she was just a little quiet. I think with the noise from all the heel generation going on, we actually just missed the count. I think that's more what it was. And it wasn't that big of a crowd either. I don't know how many people were there. There wasn't many seats put out, let's put it that way, but the seats were full. And yeah, the crowd was really getting into it. I love the atmosphere. I thought it was really great when you're that close to the action and you got the wrestlers coming to you as well. Now I'm just trying to remember. I think I missed from the start. I think you did get a high five from Franco, even though you weren't on the back row. I said to Jay, I was like, look, just go forward. And of course he came over, and I think he gave was he doing a fist bump or a high five? There was one person that gave a fist bump instead. Oh, that was Sterling. Okay, all right.
And I forgot. Oh yeah, is TJP still TJP?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep, that's his name. That's his actual name. So WWE can't do anything about it. You can't ask him not to go by his name. That's his name. So it's like John Cena. John Cena, I think, is John Cena, right? I think that's his real name. So you can't ask somebody to change that. It's a little different if you're The Rock, because that's clearly not his name. But no, they can't ask him to change it. That's his actual name. So no, he still goes by TJP.
Don't they let the Rock use The Rock in movies?
I think so. I think they let him. I think they film him as The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. I think they're allowed. I think the amount of work he's done for WWE, I think they allow him. And same with Stone Cold Steve Austin. He goes as Stone Cold Steve Austin now, even though he's not with WWE anymore.
There's because I saw him on a commercial and it said his name, Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Mm-hmm. I think he might have changed his name legally now anyway to that anyway. So
what? You can do that?
Yeah. Yeah, you can change your name to, well, you got to be 18, but you can change your name to whatever. Somebody changed his name to Sydney Harbour Bridge. So you can change it to anything you want. You can change it to something absolutely ridiculous. You can change it to Mason Rocks if that's what you really want.
I could change it to Toothless Hillbilly?
You could change it to Toothless Hillbilly if you want to. Won't look very good when you're applying for a job, but you can certainly do that. Yeah, no, you can totally change your name. Yep.
So once I do get a job, then I can change my name to Toothless Hillbilly.
Then you can change it, and then you got to change your passport, and then you got to change everything else. You got to change your credit card, your driver's license. Once you realise what a pain it is to go to the DMV and get your driver's license changed, you're going to realise you're not going to want to change your name. But yes, you can change your name. You can change your middle name. You can do anything you like.
So if you change your middle name, then you still have to do all that stuff. Then why not just change your whole name?
Well, I'm just saying you can change everything about your name. You don't even have to be Mason anymore. Your last name doesn't have to be Bagshaw. You can change it to whatever. You can change your first name to Super. You can change your middle name to Star, and you can change your last name to Mason if you wanted to, and you can be Superstar Mason.
Super. M-A and an N.
All right, so in future episodes of the MGB Wrestling Podcast, you're going to find out what it's going to be, and do we need to change the M in MGB depending on what Mason actually picks as his new name. All right, do we have anything else for this match? Because I don't think we've even got to the middle part yet.
Franco wins.
Didn't even get to the middle part. Franco wins. Whoa, brilliant stuff, Mason. The main event. This was the one where I was like, you're not going to write that part down? And you're like, I'm not going to write this part down? You kind of want to watch the match as well, and I understand that. It was a great match. It was really fun to watch. Go on and tell us how Franco won.
He won.
How?
He pinned Page.
He pinned Ethan Page. How did he get to pin him? Did he give him like a clothesline? Did he give him a power slam? Did he?
He was on the floor. He hooked his leg, and then the ref counts 3.
So how did he get on the floor? Can you remember that part?
You
missed this because this is when you wrote down that we went to get pizza from the concession stand. Actually, we might have missed. Oh, I'll tell you why you don't know the finish. I remember why we don't know the finish. Jackson, on his slice of pizza, there was a plate. He went across and was like, "Can I throw the trash away?" I was like, "Sure, go ahead." And then he came back, and we noticed he'd just thrown the pizza plate on the floor. I guess he tried to throw it, and it missed. So it was on the floor between 2 guys. I was like, "Go and get it." So he went to pick it up, put it in the trash can, and by that time, I think we were like, "Oh, whoa, 1, 2, 3." So we saw the finish, but we didn't see what led up to the finish.
Yeah, gravity put him down.
So there you go. Now, I remember now why we actually missed that.
Yeah.
And I don't think we hung around much after that.
Well, Trey comes out and attacks Franco.
That's right. Oh, that's right. So, yeah, 24K, who we talked about earlier, he came out, attacked Franco. Franco was out. He was out cold. He was like Max Morrison the previous day. He was out cold.
Except he didn't lie down for an hour.
And we pretty much got out of there. We didn't hang around because it went on a long time as well. I originally thought it was 7 o'clock start, and it was a 7:30 start. So by the time it finished, it was almost 10:30. And I knew we had a 3.5 hour drive, basically. So I was like, oh my gosh, we're not going to get home till about 2 o'clock. And so we got out of there as quick as we could. Not that there was that many people there. Even if we'd have waited, it wasn't like there was a big rush or a crazy parking lot like when you go to WrestleMania or anything. And yeah, we hit the road. We talked for about an hour because we were super excited.
Exactly. So I put my pillow down so I could put like my elbow instead of like putting it straight on the books. I put the big pillow, and then I feel somebody, and then I feel like this thing on my elbow, and then it was Jackson's head sleeping already, and it was like 10 minutes.
He was fast asleep. He'd had a busy night the night before.
I couldn't fall asleep.
It was a long time. We were still excited. Because, I'll say, Mommy said to me as well, she's like, if you need to stop for a hotel, just stop for a hotel because it's going to be late. I'm always excited after wrestling matches. I always have that adrenaline. I don't know how wrestlers get to sleep after their matches. I'm that excited just by watching it. Can you imagine how excited and pumped up they are from physically wrestling as well? All those hormones going around?
I guess you have to drive a long way.
I guess that's true. I guess that's true. You get to drive afterwards, so
but if you're like the Ugly Ducklings and you have to split it 3 ways, then
that works pretty good as well. That works pretty good.
That's not good though, because like if they're the 2 people that are not driving, then you have to try and fall asleep straight after your match. And
I guess so. Well, they probably talk for a while first, I'm sure. They don't just go straight to sleep or anything like that. But yeah, so we got out of there. We talked for a while. We talked about how cool it was and the fact that you got the interview. And yeah, we were just really excited by it. We thought it was cool. We're trying to plan, like, who are we going to tell? And my first thing was like, oh, I should send that out. And I was like, no, I'm not sending any tweets out. I want to keep this quiet. And as of today, we still haven't told anybody yet. The only person who knows is Mommy.
And
She's
Livid.
the only one who knows. Oh, Livid, because he's, as you'll hear on the interview in a second, yeah, Livid came in the background as well. But yeah, we've kept it pretty quiet. Not because we're not excited by it, but I didn't want it to tread on the toes of our other interview that's out right now. I thought that would be very unfair to UCW to be putting out, look, here's the UCW interview. Hey, look, coming up, we got Ethan Page coming out in a week's time. I was like, no, that's not fair to UCW. So we're keeping quiet about it. We'll certainly mention it soon. I did check Ethan Page's vlog. His one that came out on 3 days ago has David Starr on it. David Arquette on it. Man, did it for a second time. That event was 2-3 weeks ago. So it looks like he's a couple of weeks behind or whatever. So what will probably happen is our episode will come out. Ethan said he would definitely mention it. And then the vlog will come out. And you might get a few more viewers after that point then. So it might be like a week and a half later. You might get that push when people see you on that. Or hopefully they'll see you anyway. So, we don't normally end this. We're terrible at doing this. We assume that if people have found our podcast, that we don't need to really promote it. So we should do it properly this time. So, you can follow Mason on Twitter at MGB Wrestling Pod. You can find me on Twitter at MGB Graham, and you can find Jackson at MGB Jackson 5, and you can follow us also on the Visionaries Wrestling Network. Type in Visionaries Wrestling Network, and like the first 5 pages on Google are all to do with that. If you get a chance as well, please rate and review Visionaries Wrestling Network. That would make a huge difference to us if you listen on iTunes. Give a 5-star rating. Mention Mason. Mention that Ethan Page sent you to us as well, so we know where we got the thanks from. And I think that's it. If you did like this, I think mainly, we used to review Raw and SmackDown. I think now we mainly just review independent wrestling events that we attend. And hopefully one of the ones we should be releasing in a couple of weeks, and if Mommy gives us permission, is Alpha 1.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see. All right. Anything else to finish this up with?
The interview.
The interview. All right. Cue the interview.
Are we live right now?
We are live.
What's the name of your show? Actually, hold on.
We didn't even...
I'm going to vlog this too. So, this is Ethan Page speaking, Canadian wrestler, Impact Wrestling superstar. I'm also vlogging. I'm on YouTube. I'm standing here with 3 gentlemen. And there was a very short line at my merch table. And we started chatting. I realized these guys drove very, very, very far to see me. And now I heard they have a podcast.
He has a podcast.
How old are you guys?
I'm 11.
Jackson, how old are you?
5 and 11. Your combined age does not even add up to mine. So I am going to be your guest on your podcast today. So what do you want to talk about? I know I said I would interview you, and I will. Don't worry.
Well, the first question was, what's the name of the podcast? You haven't answered that yet.
Yeah, what's the name of the podcast? Because I want everyone watching this to go subscribe right now. You guys on iTunes and all that
We're
stuff?
on iTunes, yeah.
All right.
It's the MGB Wrestling Podcast.
MGB Wrestling Podcast. Go subscribe.
You'll find us on the Visionaries Wrestling Network. We better give our network a plug, or else they'll probably be a little upset.
There you go. And Ethan Page is going to be on an episode coming soon. So, or it's already going to be up. Let's get to some questions. I want people to hear at least your first question on the vlog. What is it?
What is your plan for Franco Varga?
Oh, tonight! My plan is to win. The only bad thing is that it's for the championship. And I have to fly to my next show, which means I would have to check my bag because it wouldn't fit. I don't like checking my bag. It's not a good thing to do. It's very annoying. Also, the belts are actually very heavy. So I might actually just throw the match and lose because I don't want to travel with it anymore. But I promise you, I'm going to beat him up for at least 15 minutes. And then maybe he'll sneak out the victory because I don't want to carry the belt anymore. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. That makes sense to me. All right, let's keep this going. I have a question for you. What is your favorite match you've ever seen live? You have to have been there.
That's hard. I've been to a lot.
Oh, okay.
That's tough.
Let's start bragging.
Tim Donch versus Nick Gage.
Damn, that was probably crazy, right? A lot of weapons and stuff like that? Where was that?
There was a closet door that got slammed through.
Where?
I can't.
Nova
It was
Pro.
Nova.
Oh,
Pro.
okay.
I don't remember which
So
one
wait,
it
that's kind of close to where you guys live, right?
That's close to where
Yeah.
That was our local one.
Awesome.
That's why
Well,
we got to venture out a little further.
yeah, sorry I got that place closed down, guys. Didn't do it on purpose. Yeah. Don't send this to the shoot interviews. Okay. That's a great match. Those are 2 crazy dudes.
I wasn't sure which one you were going to say. I thought PCO might have been a candidate.
Ooh, who did PCO wrestle?
Tim Donch.
And Eric Rowan.
Tim Donch is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is he one of your favorite wrestlers?
Mm-hmm.
Heck yeah.
Tim Donch sang happy birthday to him on his 11th birthday. We were
Damn.
at the theatre. It was their debut event, and he came out at the end of his match. They said, I mentioned I was buying tickets for his birthday, and they were like, can we do something? I was like, sure. I had no idea what it was. And they whispered, his name's Mason. Just to chat, like, it is Mason. And then at the end of his match, he came along. He's like, is Mason here? Came down, got the whole crowd sang happy birthday.
Damn.
And you got your own safety first hat. So that was
Of course he's your favorite match. He'd be my favorite match too. Get the whole arena singing happy birthday to me. That's awesome. All right, who's your favorite wrestler?
That's my favorite WWE wrestler is Roman Reigns.
Okay, but who's your favorite wrestler ever? Like of all time? Mine's The Rock.
He's not been watching for that long. He's only
Okay.
been watching for 2.5 years now, I think. 3.
Who's your favorite wrestler for the last 2.5 years?
Ooh. That's basically all I've been watching.
It's still
Yeah,
probably Roman
so
Reigns.
probably Roman
Yeah,
Reigns?
Roman
Yo, Roman Reigns is great. That's a great choice.
Hey, Jackson, you can get in on this. Who's your favorite
Yeah.
wrestler?
John Cena, I'm looking at your shirt.
You got your John Cena shirt. Who's your favorite wrestler, though?
Brock Lesnar.
Brock Lesnar. So you guys duke it out? You like Roman Reigns, you like Brock Lesnar? You just Superman punch and F5 each other?
He wanted me to tag Brock Lesnar in a post when we were at the Wright Brothers Memorial.
Why? What did you want to tweet at Brock Lesnar? I'm really interested in this.
This is why we have him on the podcast. He's got the most entertaining stuff.
Yeah, hey, what did you want to say to Brock Lesnar?
Can't you fly over to Canada to wrestle? At the outside wrestling?
You wanted to fly to Canada to wrestle?
Yeah, how come? I don't want him to come to my country, even though I think he lived in Vancouver or something like that. He's a wild guy. He lives in the forest, in the woods.
The interesting thing is, he has a new favorite wrestler each week. So I didn't know it was Brock Lesnar, so it changed.
Okay, Dad, who did you think it was going to be?
I wasn't sure. He said he had lots of indie wrestlers that he likes. So he likes Tim Donst, John Kerman, he said one time. Who else did you say? You keep changing your mind, though. Oh, O'Shea Edwards.
Okay, yeah,
So
I like him too.
And yesterday it was probably Bro Carla. There you go. DeJuan O'Neill probably yesterday.
So tomorrow, I'm going to be your favorite wrestler?
Tomorrow, it could well be Ethan. It could well be Ethan Page.
I hope so.
We'll need to record this and keep this one running.
Did you just ask him what he's doing? He was stretching because I'm about to give you F5, bro, on this car. Look at, he's tuning up the band. You better watch out. Oh, do you know what my brother's real name is? One of my brothers? No. Guess.
Mason?
Oh, how did you know? It's true.
That was a good guess.
Yeah.
I was told him your real name because I mentioned your shirt that
I've Yeah, Julian.
And I said when we have to go on PayPal.
Yeah.
Because obviously you don't go by Ethan.
Yeah.
PayPal, you go by
Once I started the vlog title is Fake Name No Gimmicks. Mm-hmm. So like everybody knows we got fake names as wrestlers. But I wanted the vlog to have no gimmicks, just like a real view of my life. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I used to hate that people knew my real name. And then once I actually started like gaining popularity, that's when you get a Wikipedia page and people start ratting out your real name and that you're married and that you got a kid and they know you like long walks on the beach and they write about it and I don't mind people knowing my real name.
Go on, what was the story? We told you a story that Ethan mentioned about his daughter. This is how much info. Because you got a lot of information now as well. I think
so. He told me in the car that your daughter calls the dog Dada.
Yeah. So, this is the most heartbreaking thing. This is some good content for you. I thought my daughter said Dada first, like she said, like that was her first words. So I was like rubbing it in my wife's face, rubbing it in my dog's face, rubbing it in my mom's face or her grandma. And then, then she started saying mama, mama, mama. Then she started saying no, no, no. Then she started saying banana. Then she started saying all these words. And I always said, she said Dada first. Till we showed her a picture of the entire family. And she pointed at the dogs and said, Dada. And I moved her hand to me. And she goes, no, 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 Dada. So she thinks Dada is dog because we call them doggies. So, yeah. Plug your ears.
Does she have a name for you yet?
I guess I'm the bitch. But, she doesn't have a name for me yet. My wife has a theory that we're both Dada because she will say it to me. She just doesn't know the difference between daddy and doggy.
So it's context then. So that context at that point in time, she was thinking of the dog.
Yes. Yeah. But for Twitter, it's funnier
I hope so for your sake.
I don't mind. My biggest thing is I know my wife is very emotional, so I wanted to at least make sure that she got the name right for her. So Mama's safe. She's good to go. My wife's happy. She spends more time with her anyways. I want to make sure they have a good relationship. I'm just, the dad in a Speedo that needs to show up with money every once in a while.
I recognize the showing up with money.
Hopefully Mom's not listening to this.
The number of things that this guy would have got me to buy in the last few days, I would have been bankrupt by now.
Oh, I'm sure. You want it all, eh? Hey, I have a question for you guys. I'm a loser. I collect toys. That's what I do. I'm almost 30. I have more toys than you guys, both of you combined. I would bet my life on it. What do you guys like? What's your toy? Like, what's the cool toy right now?
Wrestling figures.
Wrestling figures?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what do you collect? The basics, the elites? You like the old bone-crunching action? You like the old LJNs? You like the Hasbro retros? What do you like? Am I being too nerdy right now?
The ones I can find.
That's an amazing answer.
The ones we can find, the figures we like.
My youngest brother, Martel, all he cares about is just finding the characters. And that drives me crazy because I'm like, wait, this guy can do the splits and he's got his arms and legs move great. And then this one's stiff as a board. He goes, I don't care. I just needed a Brock Lesnar, so I bought that one.
I just realized that's the one we went to EWA Wrestling. They had wrestling figures for $5. And I was like, he saw what? Who did you get? You got Mr. McMahon, I think.
Yeah.
Oh,
that was kind of a
good
unique one.
figure.
I was like, that's a great one. I asked him, who do you want? And he's like, Brock Lesnar.
Brock Lesnar.
Okay, so I guess you have
Wait. Hold on. We need to address something very awkward here. Your favorite wrestler is Roman Reigns. Your brother is wearing Roman Reigns' glove, and he's about to Superman punch all of us. What's going on here? Why is he stealing your thing?
Why have you got that on your arm, Jay? What happened?
You broke it? How'd you break it?
How do you break it, Jay? I don't think we talked about this on the podcast.
By getting pushed up a rock.
You got pushed off a rock? Damn, how tall was that rock?
I think it's because he wasn't expecting it.
That's my mom's bed.
As tall as your mom's bed?
We have one at school, and he's like the same one, and it's like that tall.
As tall as you?
Yes.
And you're pretty tall, dude. All right. Very cool. There's just a guy with a clown mask walking.
That's Livid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not scary at all.
Yeah, he's an awesome clown.
Hey, Livid. What's up, buddy? You say hi to Livid, Jackson?
Yeah.
Just don't offer anyone some candy, man. Yeah. Oh, no. Stay away from people dressed as clowns, all right? All right, I'm going to give you one more question. You can ask me whatever you want. Exclusive. This is just for you. It could be the craziest question ever that some dirt sheet guy wants to ask me, but you get it. What do you
Ethan
want?
actually put out on Twitter recently, like he wants to appear on podcasts.
Yeah.
And
But I'm not letting your dad ask the question.
No.
Because your dad will be like, hey, when are you going to go to AEW?
I didn't do that.
You get the question, whatever you want,
You
Mason.
got the first opportunity.
Yeah, whatever you
You
want.
jumped to the front of the line today.
I know it's tough, right?
Yeah.
I'm like the genie in Aladdin, but you only get one.
I think of it like 30 minutes before when I'm in the car just waiting.
I know I put you on the spot,
So
though.
if you're going to be an interview, you got
gotta
to
be ready.
on the spot. See, this is perfect. This is in training.
Yeah.
This is what he said. He gets the most nervous.
Hey, I ran a seminar earlier. Now I'm doing another one. It's called podcasting.
See, Ethan didn't know he was going to be conducting an interview.
Yeah.
So you just got to.
You got one question. You got one question. Unless your brother wants to take it.
Jay was thinking. His last question I think he asked a wrestler was, do you like the smell of trash? He tends to come up with pretty random ones.
No.
It's very random what he comes
Do I
up
like
with.
the wait, what's the trash? Is it just a bunch of donuts in the garbage? Yes, I like the smell of that.
When you were young, what did you think your character would be if you like wanted to be a wrestler or something?
Whoa! That's a great question. My favorite wrestler when I was a kid was, like, very young, was Macho Man. Then it became Razor Ramon. So I would probably find a mix of the two of those. But then I fell in love with The Rock, who is pretty much a mix of two of those, because you had like the cool dressed guy, but he also wore like crazy flamboyant things. And he also did a lot of hand gestures when he would yell into the microphone. So, I mean, Macho Man and Razor Ramon could have had a baby, and it could have been Dwayne Johnson. That's all I'm saying. It's a great question, though.
That was a great question.
And yes, I can smell what The Rock is cooking, buddy. Do the eyebrow.
You were trying to do that earlier. You guys were trying to think. Well, he said, what other phrases does The Rock have? And then you were like, oh, but they got to be PG.
Just bring it.
And then they go, oh, see?
Come on. Come on.
All right, are you wrapping this up or am I wrapping this up? Oh, see, he's delegating.
Oh, no, wait. Don't do that.
Don't delegate.
Mason, this is your show, right? You're the headliner. All right, wrap us up.
Okay, we'll still match things. This is Ethan Page, MGB Wrestling Podcast, and we're out of here.
Damn, that was great.
It's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from him.
Goodbye.
Music was Zigzag by Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.com. Licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0. http://creativecommons.org/licenses/by/3.0/
You are listening to Visionaries Wrestling Network, providing